Hi everybody, thanks so much for joining me today. I thought I'd do a quick painting with a warm glow in the center, surrounded by kind of silhouettes all around, a lot of dark on this black canvas. So for now, relax and enjoy this episode 4, Sunset Silhouettes. Okay everybody, let's get started. I have a 18 by 24 canvas here. It came primed in black gesso, which obviously just means it's a black canvas versus a white canvas. By saying that, it's a different type of painting. It's not going to be bright and cheery. It's going to be very dark and mysterious, ominous almost. And I really like these paintings because they change the way you paint. Rather than adding dark to the light, you add the light to the dark to get what you're looking for. And these make really good sunset and sunrise paintings because they're not in the middle of the day, so the darkness of the nighttime is going to filter in a lot. I've already put a coat of the clear liquid on there, which allows the paint to mix while it's on the canvas, which is a lot faster method. This is going to be a very fast painting, and I'm going to intentionally leave it without a lot of detail. I want this just to be kind of a color painting that you might hang, but not a lot going on in it. So let's get started. I am going to use, this is going to be a sunset. It's going to be kind of a fall type of period. So I love this time of year where the heat starts to go away, the nights get longer, the days get shorter, the leaves start to turn color, everything turns to gold. There's a different smell in the air. It's a beautiful time of year to have a fire at night and just to relax and enjoy nature. It seems a little bit more. Those of you who are lucky and fortunate enough to live with the seasons, I've always been brought up with the seasons. In Massachusetts, I was brought up about 30 miles south of Boston, right to the west of the Plymouth area, which you might be familiar with the Pilgrims. And my parents lived near Cape Cod, and a lot of my family still lives in that area. So I was lucky enough to be brought up with spring, summer, fall, and winter. And there's something about the change in seasons, those of you who are from that area or from any area, that it really changes your mood, and therefore it changes the way I want to paint today. I'm going to start with I want this to be a dark painting, so I'm going to start with some red, a little bit of Indian yellow. I want kind of an orange hue here, touch of bright yellow. Again, this is going to be a dark painting. And I'm mixing right on a little, almost a disposable canvas that I have here. Maybe just a touch more yellow there. I'm going to use a different method today. I'm going to use a couple of smaller brushes. So you can see this is kind of a filbert brush that I'm using right here. A little bit different type. But we'll smooth it out with the large 2-inch brushes in a moment. I'm going to have a sun here setting in. Actually, I'm going to have a sun here. So I'm going to start and add a little bit of darkness. And I'm just going to very gently trace an outline of a sun that I'm going to have here. So that's going to be our kind of focal point. And I want this to be really kind of orangey here. You may be able to hear the washing machine in the background. I'm down in the basement and I'm also doing a load of laundry while I'm painting, which is kind of nice. I always like to multitask. Cleaning clothes while you're creating. How fun. Add a little bit more brightness here. This is where the sun will set and move out. Yeah, that's the color I'm looking for. Right away as I get further out, I start to change the color to more of a gold. You don't want to keep the same color going too far into the sky. So I'm adding some bright red here, which really changes the dynamics. I'm intentionally keeping it fairly red looking here. Again, I want this to be kind of ominous, almost like Halloween, which is might be my favorite holiday, or one of them. I love horror movies, love to be scared, love to scare people. Love that whole dark side of humanity. I think it's really cool. Used to love being scared as a kid by my brother and older sisters. They always used to scare me. Now let's add a little bit more of this white. I want the brightness of the sun to fly up here, fly up into the night. So I'm just making these crisscross strokes here, which is just bringing the brightness out. A little bit brighter here. Naturally, it'll look darker from where you're sitting. It's much brighter where I'm sitting. I'm going to add a little alizarin crimson, which is a much darker color, bringing us down here. And you'll see where I'm going with this in a few minutes. Now I'm going to take a 2-inch brush, which is dry and clean, and I'm just going to blend this out because I want it really soft. I'm starting in the center, working my way out, and you'll see how this softens the sky. You do not want a lot of stroke detail in this unless you're doing more of an impressionistic painting. By doing this, it softens these colors out and really blends them together nicely. Okay, that's it for that centerpiece. Now I want to work on making the sun, so I'm actually going to use my finger. A little bit different approach here. I'm going to use the bright yellow, a little bit of the red. Kind of want a gold color here for the sun. I add a little bit of liquid white, and the liquid white thins the paint so that I can use this. And I'm just going to trace a basic sun here. I'm going to need to do this many times to get what I'm looking for. And your finger is just a nice way to make kind of a fairly decent half circle here. I want this to be a big setting sun. And we'll clean it up with the tree line. You'll see where I'm going, how I clean it up in a few minutes. Secret to this painting is just layer upon layer, but a lot of this stuff will get completely covered at the end. You'll see. You'll see. A little brighter up here. Just using strictly the liquid white here because I want this to come down. I want it to blend. This takes a little while because this is the focal point, so I want to take my time. I don't want to rush that. Now I'm going to take another brush and I'm just going to pull most of this paint off. I don't want a lot of paint here. That roundness is what I'm looking for, the roundness. There, that's all I really need for that. What I'm doing is just pulling the reflections of the light here for the horizon line. I'll show you where I'm going. I'm going to add a touch more, there's my paper towel here. I'm going to add a touch more lightness to the sky around the sun. So I need a small brush. Let's go for this. Using the liquid white and just strictly white paint. Maybe a little bright yellow. I don't want it pure white. So I have a little bit of yellow here. Because around the sun it would be much brighter than everywhere else. So all I'm doing is moving these clouds close to that line but not touching it. And again, I don't know if you can see the colors here, but it is picking it up. Toward the horizon, it'll get a little bit darker. Now let's smooth that out. pulling this, smoothing it out. Now, in order to dull the sun down, I'm just very lightly caressing it to flatten it. Don't want too much linear color here. Okay, so I'm pulling this down now into the bit more into the midground. Now continuing into our sky, I'm going to start to use a larger brush. I want to use alizarin crimson and bright red. A little bit of Indian yellow, a little bit of bright yellow, kind of just an amalgam of colors here. There we go. That's what I'm looking for, that gold color here. Want to leave the edges dark. We don't know where that goes. I'm going to pull a little bit of this brightness here, kind of coming up. Maybe for some reason this is a little bit brighter from the sun. Can you see that at home? Hope so. I'm going to leave this side a little bit darker. It's funny, I love how you can just play with the glow and extend the shine as far as you want. Love these big brushes for blending. It just makes it so quick and easy. Of course, it's harder than it looks. Everything is in life, isn't it? It's easy when you watch it and then you try to do it and it fails immensely. I want this to be really bright right here. Boom. Really bright right there. That's it. That's the color I'm looking for right there. Let's get a clean, dry 2.5-inch brush. Just start to blend this. Never fails that you get a hair, does it? There's always a hair that pops up. Okay, we have some basic color now. You can see that sunshine. Now let's add a little dark cloudage here at the corners. So I'm going to take a different brush. Let's use this fan brush. I'm going into straight black, pure black here. Now we start to make some really cool clouds that are coming in. Maybe there's a thunderstorm in the horizon, we don't know. Some big thunderheads up here. I'm swirling these clouds because I want it to pick up the lightness of the sky. Over here we have a dark thunderhead. Again, it's going to get darker the farther in you go, so I'm going to cover up this. We'll highlight these in a few minutes. So I'm going to pull some of these across. Change the shelf here, watch this. I'm going to bring this down, soften up the edges, bring a couple through. Cut them in, bring this out. See how I'm changing the perspective now. Okay, now we're getting into Halloween. Here come the dark clouds are creeping in on the sun. Witching hours upon us. Here we come. Pumpkins come alive. I love this part, just blending in these colors. Creating these shelf clouds coming down. Softening the bottom. Let's make some more here coming in. Maybe the sun burns away some of these clouds here. While we're at it, we're going to create the horizon. I'll show you where we do that in a moment. Try to keep your line straight on the horizon here. Now, I went up on the sun, see, so now I have to change the horizon. This is fine. You're going to make mistakes, so watch how quick we can fix this. Just by dragging that line across, you just increase the horizon line, make it a little bit higher. And no worries here. Trust the paint. Trust the technique. It's a little low on the left, but I want to make sure I blend the sky out. Another clean, dry 2.5-inch brush. I'm going to start to soften these. There we go. See how this light and dark works together? Now I'm just showing this line here, but I may not keep it. You know, if you were doing a seascape, this would make sense, but I'm not doing a seascape today. It's fairly straight. No, it still has to go up a bit over here. Right there. Now that's just showing you the horizon line, but I'm going to make trees. I'm going to change it. I want this to be very dark. Now before that though, I'm going to go back and add a few more light clouds. For that I'm going to use a small brush, some liquid white, some yellow, a little bit of Indian yellow for some gold color. Let's add some highlights here. There we go. A little bit brighter. Even more bright. See, when you go back and add light, dark, you get these different hues. See how the sun is still holding on to the sky. Even way up here, it's got a little bit through the clouds. Nice. Adding the white here. Yes, I love it. I want that to be a bit more thunderheadish. So I'm going to have these pop out more. I'm going to round these. I want these to stick out as distinct thunderheads. Yes. Toward the horizon, they get thinner, smaller. And they can tower up here. Wrapping in the thunder. Sorry if I'm covering up your view. Nice. You could spend an hour just on these clouds. You can't go wrong with the sky. There's no way you can. Every time you look up, it changes. It's unique every second. And we really have to remember we can paint however we want. No one can tell us how to paint. As soon as you buy your first tube of paint, you have an artistic license, which means do whatever you want. Don't let anyone box you into a style or a technique or a medium. No matter what you touch to canvas, you're going to have people that despise it, and you're going to have people that love it. But paint for yourself, too. Paint for yourself. That's the color I'm looking for right there. I can tell. I can tell when I see it. I didn't think I'd spend this much time on the sky, but I'm really having fun. You can make it as complex or as simple as you want. Look at that. Covering up the sun now. See how I'm distorting it on purpose. I don't want this to be... I don't want it to be perfect. This is the fall. So just by pulling those few clouds in, the sun is now pushed way back over the horizon, which is exactly what I want. Fluffing up these clouds, softening up the edges, pulling the light into the dark in this case. And then we soften, change the strokes to match the texture of the canvas. And that easy, you have a little bit of a picturesque sunset. Now, we're just going to keep this again, as I said, quite simple. So I'm going to pull a little bit of the sun down using a large 2-inch brush. Before I do that, I want to create a tree line. We did this in one of the other episodes. So I need... To do a tree line, you can use a 2-inch brush, a 1-inch, a filbert, fan, line a brush even if you want to spend several hours. I think I'll use a fan brush on this. I'm going to wash it. Need pure black on this and maybe a little liquid or some paint thinner. I want this to be thin. A lot of paint in this brush. I'm going to create a tree line here. Again, this is Halloween, so I want forest, which is where all the creatures live. And I'm only interested on the top line. The rest we'll take care of in a minute. Just making a bunch of pine trees. Breaking up the line. Can you see the forest tree line? Now I'm taking some black. I'm just going to add in darkness here, which will smooth out the edge. Add some dark pines. Again, I'm using just pure black. Excuse me while I find it. There it is. Lots of silhouettes on this one, so I want to keep it dark. Let's put some pines here. Watch how quick we can make a nice pine. Love the fan brush. I always think of Halloween when I see dark pine trees with an owl sitting in the branch. Perhaps bats are coming out any minute. Just using the corner of the brush, making kind of a zigzag shape. You want the very tip of the tree to stick out. Dark at the base, lighter at the top. Using perspective, smaller trees in the center, larger on the side. Breaks up the monotony of the tree line. Make small, large, baby large. Here we go. I'm going to make a large, big one here. Now, when I photograph this at the end, I will show you, you're getting a certain perspective on this camera, so you can't see flat. You're not looking flat on. You can't look flat on the way it's being filmed because I'm in the way. But with a decent camera at the end, you'll be able to see it without the reflections of the light hitting off the black canvas. It's okay to I'm just trying to let you experience the painting with me as I do it live, but you're not getting it in the way. You can't see it in the way I can see it. I see it completely differently than what you're looking at, which is good. But you'll see later, without any reflections on it, the way it should be looked at. Not easy how quickly you can add in these dark trees. Now watch this. Take a 2-inch brush, a little bit of this color here, yellow, dark, gold color. And that easy, you have a pond. Yes, it is that easy. It is that easy. To create a pond or a river, whatever you wish. Dang hairbrush again. I swear half the battle's keeping the crap off your canvas. There's hairs and dust and just stuff. Look at that. Now we go in and clean up the water line. Very carefully pull a couple of these dark spots down. Soft, soft, nice. And then I'm going to create, using my palette knife, a little bit of a waterline, which you would see. Just that little touch of light against the dark really makes the river stand out. Then you go back with your little brush that you started and just clean up the edge. Don't want it to be perfect here. Isn't that neat? Again, you probably can't see it, but the little highlight of water there. Let's go back into the black. Lots of dark here. Lots of dark. And now I'm just putting dark texture so it's not so smooth on the canvas. You're not going to see any detail down here, really. Not at all. I want this to be really dark. Just a hint of some color down here. Just a hint. I mean a small hint. And doing that, I'm just touching a little bit with the brush, and that will pick up the light. Now, it can be a bit boring with the same exact type of tree in here. So I'm going to put one or two just kind of straight trees here. If it's fall and this time of year, you'd have a couple trees that are not pine trees. That the leaves are falling off of or have fallen. And then I just let them die into the darkness here. Wider at the base for the trunk. Again, these are very hard to see from where you're sitting, but they're there. There's one that pops in from out of nowhere a little bit. There. Love that dark against the light. Then I'm just going to take my brush, knife here, and using the yellow and orange, just put ever so small detail of a trunk, which is picking up the color here of the sunset. This brighter color really sticks out nice. Can you see that? Are you picking that up? Maybe. Putting a couple of the light trunks way in the back, which gives your eyes something to look at. go back with the dark so that it doesn't look so perfect. And then you kill some of the lines of the trunk by adding the dark, because a lot of these leaves would be in front of the trunk. So I just want a hint of light touching, just a hint. Mostly dark. Yeah. Look at that. Just this little tiny trunk here. It's like some of the light is just hitting it. I love it. See, in this easy, you have a really easy painting. Using a dark canvas. A little bit of color where you need it. This dark here, dark, dark, dark. Framing it in nicely. Again, it looks like I'm hitting black to you, but I'm taking some lighter color. So you get the idea of some scrub brush down here. Nice! Let's put in a bird flying. Want to? I haven't done one of those in a long time. Don't know what kind of bird it will be. Need a really fine script liner brush on the black. Excuse me if I'm in the way. Making this almost into an ink consistency. Sharp edge. Is it a bird? Is it a dragon? Is it a bat? We don't know. Maybe two gold eagles flying in the night. Maybe they're the flying monkeys from Wizard of Oz. Something big. Maybe some geese. Can you see that on the camera? Probably not. So here you have it. How quick was that? How easy? Dark canvas, framed by black, framed by sky, sunset, a couple of things flying in the sky. Definitely gives me the feeling of fall. Cold is coming. Start to hear the tree frogs coming out at night. Start to see movement in the brush when the nocturnal creatures come out. Maybe a little bit scary. Thinking about witches in the forest and stuff like that. Brings out your dark side of humanity, the imagination. Part I'm really attracted to. I love it. Can't have light without dark, right? In our life. So when I see a painting like this, I also think about, it's not morbid to think about death and life and the seasons and aging and naturally everything having entropy and going back to where it started, having the prime of your life and then a secondary prime, the golden age, back into sleep, into darkness. But as a human being, when I look at paintings like this, I really think about my appreciation for life in itself. When I think about how many millions or billions of people that could have had a life and didn't, all the unborn humans throughout history, and how we've evolved enough from our common ancestor to be able to have this life that we have, which is a very, very comfortable life compared to even 100, 200, 300 years ago. Our life is amazingly easy. Contrary to what you see on television, violence is way down all over the world. If you look at it historically, we are living in the most peaceful time ever in humankind that we know of. And to be able to go out and buy a couple of tubes of paint and create, this is not a hard life. Yes, I have problems. Yes, I have bad days. We all do. But in the darkness, there's always a bright spot. There's hope for the future. There's hope for our children. There's hope for the next generation. And we are not raising stupid kids. We are raising a brilliant generation. Just as many of us surpassed our parents and grandparents, and they sacrificed for all that we have now, we will continue to sacrifice for our kids. We will give up our sunset so that they may have a sunrise for tomorrow. And that's what life's all about. It's a cycle, literally, like the circle of life. We've heard of that. And although that sun's going down, I can't guarantee, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come back up on the other side tomorrow. It's a simple painting. Well, thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time. I hope you relaxed a little bit and enjoyed this little session here. It didn't take us long. I could have cut it way down, but I like a little bit of the stroke detail that we have in here. Until the next episode, really enjoy your life, enjoy your fall, enjoy your winter, summer, your spring, wherever you live. Enjoy the seasons, enjoy nature, enjoy the dark and the light as it comes to us, and endure through it all. We'll see you next time on Relaxation Oil Painting.